Hey, what's up guys, Mixoplex here. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys our current build, what I dubbed the Lone Ranger build. Now this is kind of in a work in progress. We're still earning traits and earning different gear that we haven't acquired yet. But let's go ahead and take a look at it, and I'll kind of explain both my gear choices and my trait choices. Now for our weapons, we are currently using the submachine gun. Unfortunately, we don't really have a lot of options. We have the hive cannon and repeater pistol. I don't want to use the hive shot just because one, it's not that good. Two, its damage is kind of weak, and three, we need to have the open weapon mod slot to kind of mix match our build at the moment. And the submachine gun, truthfully, is pretty good. It has a 35 round mag, and it's pretty fast. And with our current setup, we crit quite a bit with it. So if we aim for weak points, it usually shreds. So now for the mod, we're currently using Hunter's Mark. Now Hunter's Mark gives us 15% crit on any enemies within 40 meters of us, lasting 1 minute. This will pretty much give like an outline of the enemies, which is really strong, and it's just an overall good buff to have. I mean, again, it's really easy to get this, so this is kind of like our offensive one when we're exploring. We just got Howler's immunity recently, which projects a 20 meter aura that moves with the caster and reduces incoming damage to all heroes standing in the aura. This is kind of like our defensive one if we're kind of having issues with boss mechanics, or just there's just so much damage. This is something we've been transitioning to. Another good mod to use as well is the Rattleweed, which will help with taunts, which honestly you can get this up relatively quick, and the taunt actually helps quite a bit. It'll allow you to kind of dub out enough damage if need be. So I like to rotate between those three different mods. Now for our primary damage dealing weapon, we're going to be using the Devastator. Now you can get this off kind of like the Elvish kind of world, or kind of like the I forgot what the world's actually called, but it's, I believe, from the Butcher. You'll know when you see him. He's a big nasty dude. He's like a chef, an ugly chef, and he drops this as a boss weapon. And I think this is one of the most, or one I think from what I've heard, is one of the most overpowered weapons in the game at the moment. But it has a crazy damage potential on it. So it's a one magazine crossbow. It shoots one, you would think one bolt, right? No. So what this does is it shoots 5 different projectiles for one shot. Now, if I'll go ahead and show you, it does this right here and gives you 5 different circles, which are 5 different projectiles. Now each of these have their own potential to crit, and also depending on if it's a weak point hit, it can also crit. So this weapon is amazing and has a lot of good damage potential, but you have to be really good with aiming with it. And again, it takes some getting used to, but it's so far it's our go-to weapon, even for roaming. But it has a weapon mod on it called Skewer. Now, when you kill mobs with this, you will accumulate Bolt. This will do 300 flat damage and then 300% additional stagger damage, applying a bleed, doing 360 over 15 seconds. This is really good because you can also use this and stack them up, but then if you need to, you can immediately pop like 5 of these into a boss, and if it crits, it can usually, it's a good burn mechanic I like to use. So that is our weapons. Then we have the Riven. Riven is, again, melee in our current build. It's kind of pointless because we kill everything before it even gets remotely close to us. But if we were going to use something, I would prefer to use a one-hander because it's just good for clearing stuff, quickly. Slamming stuff with a sledgehammer after a while, it just gets old. But this is the special attack on this, which is pretty cool. Let me go ahead and activate it right here. Go ahead and activate again. That will actually do multiple hits, which is pretty cool. Then we are using Brutal Mark as a neck piece at the moment. We're looking to get something a little bit better. There's more one for kind of a ranged DPS, but we can't get it yet. But this one we have, it gives us 15% extra damage to enemies lower than 50 health, which is great. It's kind of like a burn phase that helps us substantially. Then we have Stone of Balance, which is a flat-out ranged and melee 10% buff. Pretty self-explanatory. And then we have Devouring Loop. Now, This is what our build's kind of built upon and is like one of the focal points of our build. So critical strikes or critical hits have a 5% chance to deal 300% bonus damage. Now you're probably thinking, why 5% mix? It says 25. We'll get into that later. But that is the base version of the gear. We're right now using 3-piece cultist duster. I usually like to throw in at least 1-piece hunter shroud, but unfortunately we haven't really gotten any other sets right now, so we're kind of screwed on that front. But yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and look at our traits. This is where we start to see a lot of the customization and kind of what I would say is the real bread and butter of your character. So to start it off, we have 12 points of vigor. This gives us 130 health. This gives us 10%. What is it? I think in stamina we have 110 with this. 4 points into that. These are something I'm just starting to prioritize recently. Probably going to do full points and probably a little bit more points in endurance. You want to have enough so you can run around and have enough health, just to kind of, you know, not die, obviously. But these will, I'm starting to max out vigor at the moment. But yeah. Anyways, so we'll go to the next layer. We have quick hands, which is 15% reload speed. This is quite a bit. I think this is a good step. I felt this was very comfortable. I stopped at 5. Went up to 10 and it felt really good. But this is good for everything because, again, we are a range focused build. Reloads are nice, and that does affect our crossbow. Then we have Exploiter, which gives us 25% weak spot damage, which, again, is a huge thing for range builds. You want to figure out your target's weak spot, hit it, and it's big, big, big damage. Then we have Recovery. This has stamina, regen, and delay. We put 4 points into this just for a little bit of it. Now, stamina, regen, and delay. Basically, let me see if I can show it right now. As you see in the bottom, we'll go ahead and run around for a little bit. We'll use all of our stamina. And then that is basically, it affects the ramp up time of how you recover. Honestly, you could probably put a couple more points into this. Maybe up to 10%, but I feel like that might be a little bit overkill. Honestly. Then we put 4 points into Glutton, obviously, because consumable speed always is nice. That allows us to kind of buff ourselves up, get a health pot real quickly. I'm not sure if this affects the Dragonheart heal. If it does, awesome. We'll probably max that out at some point. But again, something to test. All right, so we're going to put 20 points into Executioner, obviously, for 20% bonus crit. That affects everything. Really big buff right there. Then we have Catalyst, which is a 20% proc chance to anything inventory-wise. So I'm not sure if this will affect these at all, like the gear. I haven't tested it. But at the moment, it does affect our Devouring Loop, which is, again, it's the focal point of our build. This is amazing. And that thing procs so damn much, man. It's amazing. Like, yeah, it's so good. We haven't put any points into Triage, Scavenger, Handling, or Arcane Strike. But we have put 20 points into Mind's Eye, which gives us 25% range damage bonus, which is obviously a given considering our build. Then we just unlocked this recently off the Undying boss, which was so freaking hard. But he gives us Kingslayer trait, which gives us crit hit damage. We maxed that out recently as well. Now, we just did this recently. After unlocking this, I figured it was probably time just to max it out, see how our points are allocated. And yeah, so that is currently our build in Remnant from the Ashes. This character is probably a little bit more than halfway through hard mode at this point. We just finished normal. We're doing hard. But at the moment, the only trouble we're really having is, mechanics. For the most part, that is what these games are, right? But thank you guys for watching. We've been getting asked consistently, like, what is your build? What are your traits? What is your setup? This is our current setup for our character. And again, I'm not trying to say mimic our build, but I do want to kind of highlight some items and weapons that are pretty good, honestly. So thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing to our channel for more Remnant gameplay and live streams, and particularly maybe some contents or some different builds, stuff like that. I've got a few things planned. I definitely want to try a melee build in the future. We kind of have a set for it, but I don't know. I think if we can get a couple more trait points and I feel a little bit more comfortable with it, I don't know. Melee is kind of in a weird spot. I don't know if it's going to be super viable, but we'll see. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.